Thank you for coming on the program. Let's start off with the Kenya shilling and where we've seen it sitting today, obviously responding to that rate cut out of yesterday. What did you make of it?
Well, that was expected in the market because the only thing that was holding back the decision by the CBK to cut the rate was actually the way the exchange rate was behaving. So I guess with the rate cut, I guess that really, first of all, it brings back the confidence into the market. But most importantly is the fact that, you know, these guys, they got the second tranche of the $600 million they're looking from the foreigners. So once they got that, I think that gave them the incentive to go ahead and cut the rate, and having the 600 million, they're able to fight any other volatility in the exchange rate.
And opinion is very divided on that. According to some analysts, this will undermine the shilling, and the others say, no, this is perfectly fine. The currency will not be harmed. Where do you sit?
Well, you know what? Analysts will have divergent opinions on how or the effect of the cut rate. But in my view, I guess it's a well-timed move. I think the governor is really trying to play a very delicate and a balancing act here, because you need to see the economy improving or growing. At the same time, you want to see the exchange rate, stabilizing. I guess, in my view, this is the right time to have made that move. Yeah.
And we're already starting to see the effects of that. Just the day after it happened, Barclays Bank of Kenya cutting its lending rate by 1.5% to 21%. Do you think the rest of the banking sector will take those cues?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I think the banks have been waiting for this move. And because, you know what, if this thing was going to, stay at those high rates, it was going to affect them. So I think this move is going to rally all the banking firms to cut down their rates.
We normally have too many concerns that fine, when the rates go up, they're the first to jack them up immediately. But when they come down, they drag their feet, take a few weeks, maybe a few months. Yeah. But obviously, the central bank would hope that the effect on that will be immediate.
Well, these guys are in business.
Yes.
And the first interest is themselves. So if the rates go up, make as much money as possible. We've already seen that in Q1 and Q2. Their profits are actually phenomenal. And I guess it's because of the rates that were so high, and they really milked that environment.
All right, let's talk about the Nairobi Stock Exchange, the Securities Exchange, today for the first time closing down for the 20-share index after 10 days of consistent gains. Yeah. What happened?
Well, there was a slight dip. For me, I think it was a bit of profit-taking. Look, when you look at it from a year to date, it's a 16-point rise in terms of percentage. And I think there's still upward potential. So I guess this is just, taking some speculators taking the short-term profits. But I see a larger percentage of the market participants still remaining and retaining their positions, thinking that the market could even rise up to even 4,000 level.
So we were almost just below the 3,800, but it seems that is not to be. Do you think we might hit that next week?
Well, if the momentum holds,
yeah.
If the momentum holds, and in my view, I think it's still there, I guess this thing will break in the opening on Monday next week. And in my view, I think the next target will be 4,000.
4,000, optimistic. That is a good sign. Let's talk about Umeme, the Uganda's power distributor, planning to list not just in Kampala, but also in Nairobi. The first time we're seeing a Ugandan company crossing in the border into the much larger Nairobi Securities Exchange. What do you make of this?
Well, okay, you know what? In Uganda, there's nothing to talk about there. The markets they're not very deep.
Careful now. Our Ugandan viewers, yes.
Yeah, that's the truth. And I think our markets are, the local market is very deep and liquid. And I guess the kind of amount of power producing farm we look at are very high. So I guess the Nairobi Stock Exchange will be the most likely place to come and raise funds.
Okay, how does Kenya Power and Lighting Company do in the stock market locally? What do investors think about it? Which might be a good indication as to how Umeme might do here.
Well, first of all, I think the decision by Umeme has nothing to do with KLPC.
Yes.
I guess it had more to do with the liquidity of the market and the depth of it, plus the fact that rates have been cut.
Yes.
Guys have money in their pockets, and I guess that's gonna give them the funds they're looking at. Yeah.
I need to point out at this point that they haven't said how much they're looking for. Some analysts have speculation that they may be listing about 20%. Also, it is an IPO, but that's all we know at this point. Yeah. Let's move on to another one. Kenya Airways pilots. The union has said they might go on strike because the airline plans a very aggressive expansion drive, which means they need expatriate pilots, but the local pilots are not too happy. Is this anything to be worried about in terms of the share?
Well, it's something to worry about because this has been a trend. We are seeing KQs being hit by industrial actions all over the place. I guess it's time for the management to be very aggressive in terms of putting its feet down. Because look, these guys have been having expenses have been going up, and I think hiring experts, it's much more cheaper than hiring local guys because there are all these stringent controls that they have with the union. So I guess in my view, the president of the company needs to put his feet down and say, look, let's go and get those 60 expatriates. It's much more friendlier to our costs.
All right, let's finish off with your projections for next week, where that will be the second week of the month. Where do you see the market going?
Well, the market closed on an up day today. It's been an up week basically.
Yes.
Looking from where it started on Monday, I guess it's going to bust the 3,800 resistance level. So in my view, I think it will touch 4,000 level if not next week, then maybe 2 or 3 weeks to come.
Tell me, what did you think of BAT before we close this? They reported a 21% jump in profit before tax.
Great. Those guys are doing great stuff. They have a great management, and I think a large part of it has been their export business. It's been doing quite well. They have had a diversification strategy they've been pursuing for the last 2.5 years, and I think they're reaping the returns from it. Almost 55% of their revenue comes from outside, and that gives them a stability in their revenues. So they diversified all over the region. So I guess for an investor out there, you'd want to put your money in a company like that.
Excellent. We'll leave it there. Rufus Mwanyasi, investment analyst at Tsavo. Thanks for coming in.